Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's theme, Digital Rights and Responsibilities. I'm Nicole.
I'm Joel.
And we are here to welcome you to our digital world. This whole year, we have constantly been talking about the importance of being safe online, being kind online, and being smart online. So anytime that we're using technology, ensuring that we're in that space. And we're still going to push that narrative today as we kind of push through what some of our rights might be. And so, Joel, what's that first right that we have?
I have the right to feel safe. Obviously, when we are online, we want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like we understand the rules and kind of can, operate within them.
And what do you think we should do if it doesn't feel right?
Ooh, standard. Tell an adult, right? Remove yourself from the situation. Yeah, I think those are the two big ones.
Yeah, I think so. I think finding that trusted adult and having that conversation to navigate is really important. And so another right is to be kind online, but also to be treated with kindness online. And so that means using kind words and making good choices in what you like, what you might share on there, what you might say to somebody. And so what are some other examples of how we can be kind online, Joel?
Well, we always, we talk about, stopping, thinking, taking those 10 seconds. Remember we did that 20-20-20 rule last time, right? So we kind of take that moment to just think about what should my answer be, right? Sometimes our feelings get a little hot and we want to right away get back at them. But taking that time to sort of think about what should I do, what would make my parents proud, what would make me proud of me, and then try to choose that best choice.
Right, and so kind of like if you don't get the swing that you want in the playground at recess, or if you don't get the ball passed to you enough on the soccer field, instead of getting angry, just take a minute to breathe and realize that everybody else has a turn too. And so just those basic rules for our technology is another thing, right? So we want to make sure that yes, we have the right to use the technology, but part of our responsibilities is to make sure that we're taking care of our devices. That means 2 hands on our device, not running with it, sharing the devices that we might have to share inside of our classroom. Joel, how can we keep our devices clean and safe?
Well, obviously, no food, right?
Food.
No cheesies while you're on the Chromebook. We want to make sure that we got clean hands, clean surfaces, right? If we're working on the floor, if we're working on a desk, there's nothing around us that's going to spill or make a mess. Just kind of like wiping down. There's lots of different simple ways that we can just sort of be organized and keep our tech nice and safe.
And what about water bottles?
Oh, water bottles. The general rule in my classroom is that when the tech is on the deck, water's on the floor, right? We don't want to have that, I'm not sure if you're like me, sometimes that lid doesn't get put on quite tightly or maybe there's, just like a cup, but that kind of stuff, safest on the floor. That way we just don't have any worries about, because water and electricity don't mix.
No. And so we also, at that beginning of the year, we talked about these user agreements, right? And so that user agreement is something that kind of tells us the rules and what the expectations are before we use our technology or anything online. And so when we have those user agreements, should we just sign things? Should we just sign them without reading them?
No.
No, why not?
Well, you don't know what you're agreeing to most of the time, right? And it can be a little daunting, maybe a little boring to go through that piece by piece. But it's important to realize that when we are reading and understanding what we're agreeing to, it puts us in a place of understanding both what we have a right for and also what we have a responsibility for.
Absolutely. So at the beginning of the year in ECSD, your parents signed a user agreement for you, which says that you're going to use technology responsibly, you're going to follow your classroom rules with it, and et cetera, et cetera. And so if you're going to websites that your teacher is telling you not to, they're not doing it just to tell you not to. They're doing it because we are looking out for your safety, because instead of you saying, yeah, I agree to share my cookies or, any of those things, and not the kind that you eat.
I was going to say,
but
yes,
your
please.
personal information associated with your login. we don't want to just click yes, agree to any of those things when we go onto a website. So make sure that if you have any questions that you talk to a trusted adult.
Mhm.
And so with that, there's 3 main digital rights. Joel, what are they?
Be safe, the right to learn, and of course, the right to be treated kindly.
Right, and so anytime that we're using these online spaces, we're using them for learning, whether you're practicing skills, whether you're creating and expressing the things that you've learned, or whether you are actually like learning some information, consuming some facts, taking some notes from digital things. So just note that we have these rights, but it is our responsibility. If it is our right to be safe, what is our responsibility, Joel?
Well, it is our responsibility to like keep others safe. Is what I would say, right? Like if I have the right to be safe, then it's my responsibility to keep others safe as well. That's sort of how that, when we talk about that user agreement, right? Like what are we have both. We have expectations of how we're going to behave. Then we also have guidelines for how we should be behaving.
Right, and if we have the right to learn, then it is our responsibility to use the tool for that purpose, not for playing games or going to sites that we shouldn't be on. We also have the right to be treated kindly. What does that responsibility look like, Joel?
I wonder, is it treating others with kindness as well?
Absolutely. So kind words, kind actions, asking before you post something, any of that type of.
Yeah, keeping it positive. Right?
100%.
And we've, these are old news to our students and staff at ECST. We talk about these things, all of the time as those key foundational pieces, those basic, personal rights and responsibilities that we have to hold on to every day.
Absolutely. And so if at any point in time you have any questions, what can you do? Well, you can ask for help. You can.
Be kind.
You can follow rules.
Keep private things private.
No personal information shared. And so this is just a little activity of something that maybe you could do, but maybe since you have all been these superheroes this year, learning about digital citizenship, nice superhero
I didn't know you
posts,
took that picture of me.
Right. Try creating your own tech superhero. What would your tech superhero look like? You can either draw it on paper. You can maybe go into Book Creator and use the pen tool inside of there to draw a digital superhero, and maybe put some like keywords around it, right? What are some of those things that tech superhero is doing to be a good digital citizen? And so with that, teachers, we do have a couple of additional resources for you as well. These are Lumio resources, and so the Elementary Digital Citizenship talks about the responsibilities of being a good digital citizen. So take a look at that one, modify it as you need. Digital Citizenship with Common Sense Media gives you an opportunity to explore both positive and negative behaviors online and to have those conversations with the students. And then the third activity is the responsible decision making. And so this is where you can strengthen your own ability to make good personal choices. And then, of course, there's another like little activity set that gives you a couple of different things that you could do. So creating a poster for, I forget what it says, a superhero poster. There's a couple of different options on there. Click that as well. See if there's something that might work for you and your students. And other than that, thank you for joining us with our digital rights and responsibilities.